And Mel Kiper yesterday, just the latest and kind of a long line of people expecting big things from the Bills. We expect big things from the Bills. Most of our listeners expect big things. But you're right. That is the Twitter poll today. Are the Bills ready to be the hunted rather than the hunter? Peter Schrager on NFL Network, Good Morning Football, started this discussion among us, saying the other day that the Bills are going to be, the hunted now. They've got a target on their back rather than being the hunter. Which role do you prefer for the Bills this season? Give us a call, 803-0550, toll free, 1-888-550-2550. You like being the underdog for the Bills, or do you like being the favorite? Early tallies from the Twitter poll, 180 votes in so far. Being the underdog, 64%. 2 out of every 3 Bills fans says I'd prefer to be the underdog. Maybe it's because it's so comfortable. 34%
familiar territory.
Yeah, we've been the underdog for years. I think people feel comfortable there, Steve.
Yeah, it's the expectations are less. It's easier to exceed expectations when you're the underdog. If you give them a good game, well, you can still feel good about it, right? Because you weren't supposed to win. The simple fact of the matter is, if you've got a good team, I think the predominant view is for NFL locker rooms is act like it.
Yeah. Well, here's where we're going to tap into your expertise. What do you have, 9 years in the NFL, Steve?
13.
13, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to shortchange you those 4 years. In those 13 years, were you aware that you were an underdog or a favorite or a heavy favorite? I mean, were you aware that you were a hunted team as opposed to a hunter? Your team got good. You didn't start out good, but you got good. Did you notice a change in the way opponents approached the Buffalo Bills once the Bills got good? Did you see
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
How did that manifest itself?
Both collectively and individually. When you got a guy like Bruce, you got a guy like Andre, you got guys like Cornelius Bennett, you got some really good players, James Lofton. When you got some really stellar guys on your roster, teams play your team differently than they do other teams. When you get on film, you have to watch more of your own film as an offense than anybody else, even when you're trying to get ready for the other defense. Because you'll watch film, and I knew this as an individual too. When I took the field as a special teams player, they would never run the same returns or coverage or return schemes against our team, or at least against me individually, that they ran against everybody else. Bruce Smith would never get blocked by an offensive line the same way that they blocked everybody else, because he was Bruce Smith. They would come up with different schemes that he couldn't get on film. So what you would do is watch how other teams defended you and think that, other teams are going to try something similar to this. So it was almost crazy to go out. You'd watch all this film during the week of the opponents and what they did here, and you get on the field, and they never do that to you because you're different.
Now, okay, let me just interrupt you because you were different, or because you were perceived as being good? Because teams
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Teams adjust to every opponent, right?
Yeah, exactly. But when they come up against somebody they ain't got a one-on-one matchup they can win, there's a number of different ways they can do it. They can double team you from here, double team you from there, and you never get a chance to see them do that to anybody else. They don't treat anybody else the way they treat you, and it is a level, and it is a sign of respect, no question about it. But it's no fun to try and get ready for,
Yeah.
So, and as a team, you're very aware collectively of what the perception is of you, by your fans and by other fans and by the opponents. You get an idea of what it's about, and before, during, and after the game, you get a chance to understand what they thought about you coming into the game, and you carry that around with you for sure, and it does affect your preparation.
Does it affect how teams play you? Do they play harder against a good team if you're the favorite, do you think?
I don't think they play harder, but they prepare harder. That makes a difference. It seems like they're playing harder. You certainly get their best swing. Certainly, too, there are teams who aren't good or don't have a great culture or don't prepare well. They come in and they kind of give you their best punch. And if you can take that punch and punch them back, they fold up. They go away. They continue to go through, but they're going through the motions. That kind of thing happens. Not very often in the NFL, because you're playing against a bunch of really prideful and guys who can really go. But as a team, they can't put it together. So you do sense some fragility in their motivation and in their preparation. So when you do hit them in the mouth, you do get up a touchdown on them, you can feel them kind of start to tighten up. You can feel them starting to press a little bit, and you kind of get on top of them. Other teams, they're a handful. They think they're going to beat you. They can beat you. They're out to prove they can beat you. They know they're in for a battle. They know you're going to get a couple of good shots in on them. You're going to score a touchdown here and there. You're going to score a certain amount of points. They're ready for it, and it doesn't bother them when you do. Those are the kind of games that are really great NFL games. You're playing against an opponent that's got a chip on their shoulder with something to prove, and they're good, which is the way we were when we were coming up, and that's the way we played in playoff games a lot of the time. Not so much in Super Bowls, but in playoff games, we were tough. And the reason was we felt like we had something to prove.
One more question for you about your experience as a player in this particular area, Steve. Which did you prefer? Which is more fun? Being the hunter, going after somebody, being the underdog, or being the top dog and, putting your best effort out there, knowing that you'd probably win? Which is more fun as a player?
It's tough to say. I mean, it's
Good
fun
question.
being a pro footballer.
Yeah,
You're great. That's a great question, Murph. It's fun both ways when you win. It's both fun. If you can carry it off both ways, it's fun. And nothing matters, no matter how you feel about it if you lose. But we had a lot of success in both ways, as an underdog and as the favorite. It's fun both ways when it works. So, and both ways can be effective. And we've said it, if you watch the 30 for 30, but we're going to our second or going to our third and fourth Super Bowls, and people are like, yeah, you guys are horrible, go away, particularly after the third Super Bowl when we got beat and turned it over 9 times by the Dallas Cowboys, got blown out. People were like, just go away. We don't want you to the Super Bowl. And we were like, okay, you want a piece of us, come get it. You want us not to go to the Super Bowl, come knock us out. Let's see if you got it. That was a big rallying point for us. We're going to go again then, and when we did. So, you can, and you've seen it, man. Players jump through hoops to motivate themselves. They conjure up some slight. Teams do that too, and when it's effective, particularly when it's effective once, Murph, you can bet they're going to go back to the bag and pull that motivation, that technique out again and do it again. Yeah. So it once it works once, it's going to work forever, in your opinion. You're just going to keep going back to it.
All right, so we're asking Bills fans today, the fans' perspective. So the Bills, Mel Kiper yesterday, and many of our guests over the last couple of weeks, they give the Bills a lot of credit. Some people have said the Bills are the favorites to win the AFC East. That was unusual to hear the first time. Some people have said the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC East. That's unusual to hear. Mel Kiper said the Bills are going to win 12 games yesterday. Are the Bills fans ready to have their team be the hunted rather than the hunter? What do you prefer for the Bills this year? Give us a call. Let's talk about it. 803-0550. Toll free from outside Buffalo, 1-888-550-2550. We're going to read some of your tweets from the tweet sheet. You can tweet it in at One Bills Live. You can vote on the Twitter poll at One Bills Live. 200 of you have so far. Being the underdog, the preference of 63% of our respondents, being the favorite preferred by 37%. You know what? That's a much better poll than I thought it would be. I got to say, Steve. Yeah. It kind of forces you to think about what you like about being a Bills fan, right? Did you? Nobody liked 17-year playoff drought, but did you like it that the Bills could sneak up on teams, or would you prefer to have a target on your back? That's what we're asking fans now, right?
Right, and it also comes down to the stress fans feel. Sometimes they want to bail out. They say, I want to be the underdog, so I don't want to have that expectation where we've got to beat this team or else everything is lost. The whole season goes down the tubes, that kind of thing. And it's hard to get around that. You just don't want to go to a game and be filled with tension the whole time. That's part of the fun of it, but it's only fun, like I said, when your team wins and comes through. Then it's the best. But, man, living through that pressure of caring about your team so much, and it's the same thing for players. It's caring about your team so much and really wanting to play well and knowing it's going to be a stressful 3 hours is sometimes hard to live with.